Hey everyone, it is I, Scarred Hero, the host of the weekly Yozakura podcast. And this week we have a new chapter of Mission Yozakura Family, Mission 163, Wedding Anniversary Wars. And that is what we'll be talking about this week. I don't think I have any updates on sales numbers or anything like that, so this week I believe we are purely going to be talking about this chapter, unless in the time between my recording now and when I decide to upload this episode on Tuesday, if there's anything else that comes up between now and then, I'll add a segment to this episode. Now, when we got our chapter previews last week for what's supposed to be in this chapter, we got confirmation that a visitor will be meeting the Yozakura family this week. And that set up some interesting scenarios or theories about who this visitor might be. My personal hope was that it's Sosuke Michibata, but that doesn't end up being true. In fact, this entire chapter subverts expectations on who this visitor is, are we even getting a visitor, and it's a chapter that, for a surprisingly wholesome chapter, it has a lot of suspense to it, and I think that's really neat and really goes to show how well written this series is. So, we start off this chapter with Goliath, and Ayaka, who we haven't seen in a while, so it's nice to see her. When I first saw her on this page, I was excited, like, look, Ayaka's here, like, it's great. So I'm happy she's here, and we are celebrating the first anniversary of Mutsumi and Taiyo, which is, again, really interesting because last week's chapter was about career counseling. We have Taiyo having to look to the future about what kind of spy he wants to become. And the reason we get that chapter is because Kai tells Taiyo that nearly a year has passed since he and Mutsumi got engaged. And it seems that Hitsuji Gandaira is really driving in this point of the passage of time, where we have two chapters in a row that are kind of focused on the fact that a year has passed and there are many more years to come, so you need to look towards the future. So this chapter has a wholesome setup where we have everyone giving gifts to Taiyo and Mutsumi to celebrate their anniversary, and I drew a picture of them that is pretty cute, and when I saw like the panel with Ai's drawing, I thought that she's a surprisingly good artist, because I know a lot of young children her age are kind of like, their art, if you look at the art of like little children, most of it tends to be like very simple shapes, like triangles and circles and squares, but Ai's drawing of Mutsumi and Taiyo is pretty cool. We see her remember Taiyo's scar and his little cowlick he's got going on, or that curl there, and we see Mutsumi, and I mean, despite obviously looking like a child's drawing, it looks a little more mature than you'd think she'd be able to do, so I thought that was cute. Goliath got them ceramic bowls, and no, he didn't get them, he made ceramic couples bowls, which I think is so cute. And then Ayaka, she knitted dolls for them made out of the hair she collected while she was cleaning, which is creepy, and no one comments on it, but it's still kind of funny, and the dolls look really well made too. So we also see what Taiyo and Mutsumi got for each other. We see Taiyo got Mutsumi a diary, and Mutsumi got Taiyo a photo album. And then we learn that apparently the Yozakura family has a tradition where each anniversary has a certain theme. And the theme for this anniversary, their first anniversary, is their paper university. And then we see that their third anniversary will be the letter anniversary, their 25th will be the silver, and the 50th will be the gold. So it's an interesting kind of lore expansion detail that we see here, and this little detail also contributes to again, the fact that we're looking towards the future, their future anniversaries. So then the rest of the chapter, first off, we see Kyoichiro's bitter about the fact that they're celebrating their first anniversary, and he's like, just divorced already. I think that was pretty funny, just Kyoichiro being the same as usual, which kind of builds up to something later in this chapter, which hopefully if you're listening, you've already read it and you know what I'm referring to, but I'll get to that later. So Kyoichiro's bitter and he walks out while everyone else is celebrating Taiyo and Mutsumi's anniversary. So then we see all the siblings give Taiyo and Mutsumi different gifts to celebrate. And from there we learn that like there's this tense atmosphere right now, and that is because the siblings are very competitive about gift giving. So we see Futaba, she ends up knitting sweaters, matching sweaters for Taiyo and Mutsumi. And then we see, not only did she knit them those, like a sweater for each of them, they each have 365 sweaters, one for every day of the year, which is insanity. But everyone else has their own insane gifts too. We see Shinzo, he made them like a giant ballistic missile that shoots like fireworks and stuff, and it destroyed the entire mansion if it was set off. Shion, she goes for a more subtle approach at first. She just got some keychains, but those keychains are actually linked to a satellite. Like each one, they have not only these matching keychains, but these matching satellites, which is really adorable, but still it's over the top, which is kind of what this series is known for. Then we see Kengo's gift, and it's a twist on the free shoulder massage ticket, and it's like Mutsumi has a ticket where Kengo will be Taiyo for a day, and Mutsumi will have one where Kengo is... Sorry, I think I messed up the order. Mutsumi has a one-day Taiyo ticket, and Taiyo has a one-day Mutsumi ticket. And the purpose for this being, because they're always out on missions, they don't have much time together. So Kengo is willing to compensate by being basically Taiyo or Mutsumi's significant other, so they won't feel as lonely. And we see Taiyo, he's being very sweet, and he's like, there's only one Mutsumi and no one can replace her. And then Mutsumi, on the other hand, is absolutely hyped about this gift, because Kengo mentions how he'll even sleep next to you, arm pillows all you want. And Mutsumi's like, ooh, arm pillows too? And then you kind of see her fangirl over the fact. And then it's really cute where we see her like, I'm too shy if it's the real you. And then Kengo follows up by saying, lap pillows are allowed too. And then Mutsumi's like, I'll take 100. And we have that cute moment between them. And I think it's kind of funny how despite them being together for a year now, they haven't really done anything romantical. Like we've had like one kiss scene, they hug a lot, but I mean Mutsumi is too shy to ask if she can lay on Taiyo's arm, which really goes to show just how innocent of a couple they are, which I will elaborate on later because I think that's a key detail to my time skip theory. So after Kengo's gift, we see Nanio's gift, and he's working just straight up on a potion for immortality, which is insane. And I love the gag in the series how Nanio, he seems like the sweetest, but he's actually like kind of evil. Which is hilarious. It's like the joke is how like the youngest is always the most evil, so we see Taiyo and Mutsumi be like, the youngest is delving into forbidden arts. So yeah, all the siblings are very competitive about who has the best gift, and then all of a sudden they get someone's at the door, and it turns out to be Kai, president of the Spy Association. And I really like the panels, like when Kai first shows up, we see him at the door with a gift that he got them, or he didn't get them, but I'll get to that later. and we see like a close-up panel of Kai's eye that has the scar over it. He's like, "Happy anniversary, Tayo." And Tayo's like, "Mr. President?" And we see Tayo's eye with his scar, which really hammers in how similar they are. They both ended up getting these scars over their eyes during a car crash. And I wonder, I know I'm not alone when I say I wonder what's the connection between them, because I think it'd be a bit odd if Kai just happened to be very similar to Tayo. I think the fact that they both have these scars because of this car crash, and because of that car crash, the car crash kind of kickstarted their journey into the world of spies. And like, there's similar backstories. I wonder what the connection is between them two. So Kai shows up with a gift, and he mentions a few other anniversary themes. He says out of 50 years is the golden anniversary, 60 years is the diamond, but the last one that's celebrated is the 85th, and it's the wine anniversary. So he has this bottle of wine from Mutsumi, and it has Rei and Momo's signature on it, which I think is tragically adorable. And basically Kai explains that this is a vintage from the year you were born, Mutsumi. So it's wine that is 16, or no, must be 17 years old at this point. So although Kai is the one who showed up with this gift, it's actually a gift from Rei and Momo. They negotiated with this spy bar and basically planned it so Mutsumi will be getting this wine one day, which is very sweet and very tragic considering both Rei and Momo are dead now. So here's this gift from your dead parents, which automatically makes it the best gift of all, I guess. And even more of a shocker, this gift was actually from Kyoichiro. Kai is just a messenger, and Kai says, "I told him to give it to you himself, but he said," and I quote, "I'd rather die. It was wait, I gotta do my Kyoichiro voice." So, and I quote, "I'd rather die. It was entrusted to me. I'm just passing." I just messed that up. "I'd rather die. It was entrusted to me. I'm just passing it to its rightful owner. I'm in no mood to offer any good wishes to them." End quote. So it turns out that this wine is actually Kyoichiro's gift to Mutsumi and Tayo. And despite how grumpy Kyoichiro was when he left, the bartender, who's Kyoichiro's there, so the bartender's talking to Kyoichiro, and he's like, "You look like you're in a good mood today, Kyo." And Kyoichiro's like, "I'm not. Today is the worst day ever." And the bartender's like, "Oh, is that so?" And then we see Kyoichiro have a really cute flashback with him as a little kid at the bar with Momo and Rei, and it looks like Momo's trying to get Kyoichiro to drink some alcohol, and Rei's not having it. So then we see Kyoichiro have this little smirk, and it's a really adorable moment. I love how Kyoichiro, one of his strongest character traits is his love for the family. So he has this strong love for Mutsumi, and at this point, he even loves Tayo to an extent. Like, he acts like he hates him, and maybe he kind of does a little, but at the end of the day, they're family, and he acknowledges that now. So Kyoichiro's the GOAT. Like, no other, I mean, there are other ways to say it, but that's just what I'm going to say. Kyoichiro is the greatest of all time. So everyone, all the other siblings just agreed that, yeah, Kyoichiro won this one. So, and then we see a cute moment with Mutsumi and Tayo, like 84 years to go, which, and then Tayo follows up by saying, 102 years old, huh? But, like, it's weird because the math in that sentence isn't mathing. If they were 16 when they got married, a year has passed, so they have to be 17 now. And 84 plus 17 is not 101 or 102. It's 100 and, hang on. Now I need to redo the math in my head, which is really dumb. Yeah, 17 plus 84 is... Why am I not able to do this mental math? That's insane. 17 plus 84 is, yeah, what I thought, 101 and not 102. So I think that had to be kind of a mistake from Gandaira. But this is me reaching here, but if Taiyo is 102 and 84 years, that'd mean he's 18 now, which is obviously not the case as of this chapter. But if we have a year time skip very soon, that will be the case. So, woohoo, reaching for more evidence that a year time skip, and specifically a year time skip is coming. And then next, we get our biggest confirmation of all. Well, not necessarily a confirmation, but a detail, a plot development that contributes to my theory. We hear the doorbell ring again, so Taiyo's like, wait, is there another delivery? And we see Taiyo and Mutsumi open the door, and here we have a baby, or not baby, we have a child Tsubomi just laying there on the doorstep, and that is where the chapter ends this week. This is insane. Again, Mission Yozakura Family is known for like switching between just like fun, wholesome stuff one moment, and then all of a sudden you have these shocking plot developments the next. I was kind of hoping for and expecting much more slice of life chapters, but I think Gandaira, I don't think he wants to do that. I think at this point he wants to dive into the story, which is, it's okay with me. And Tsubomi, a child Tsubomi lying here on the doorstep, it contributes to, because of this, I now have a new theory about where the story is going. So, as we know, Tsubomi was in a weakened state because of Kyoichiro taking out the heads of the family and Momo doing whatever. So, to see Tsubomi alive and well, but as a child on the doorstep of the Yozakura mansion, is definitely a moment where you're just like, what the heck is going on here? Here is where I'll explain what the heck is going on here. My theory is that so when Tsubomi was weakened, I think she straight up died. She was killed. Either that, or yeah, let's just say she was killed. And in her kind of dying moments, she birthed a literal clone pretty much. And we know that Momo is a clone of Tsubomi in a way, like their DNA structure is the same. However, this child Tsubomi seems to be a literal clone. So, again, Tsubomi died and gave birth to this clone. So basically now Tsubomi is alive again, but in the form as a child. Now we have to think, why is Tsubomi here in the first place, this child Tsubomi? I think, you know what, I'll get into that later. First I want to say what I think could happen with Tsubomi being here now. I think what's going to happen is Tsubomi's consciousness that's inside Taiyo is going to tell Taiyo that this is his chance to kill Tsubomi. Because we know, way back in chapter 89, we see Tsubomi's consciousness that's inside Taiyo because of the blood or whatever. We see Tsubomi tell Taiyo that, I want you to kill me because the present me is evil and obsessed with immortality. So here we have a conflict where Tsubomi's consciousness is telling Taiyo that he needs to kill Tsubomi permanently. Like, even though the Tsubomi before, the evil one, is dead now, this clone of hers has the potential. Tsubomi's basically cursed. Like, she's cursed to live this cool life of being forced to live as this, basically, like, power. Like, all the plot of this series, all these people are after Mutsumi because of her blood. Tsubomi lives that same thing, she has that same problem, but it's worse for her because she is the original. She has the most potent, the most powerful blood out of all of the heads. And with Asa making his appearance at the end of the last arc and taking Momo because he wants every bit of Yozakura blood he can find, we can assume that Asa, his ultimate goal is to take Tsubomi. We don't know what Asa's relationship is to Tsubomi. We know that Asa is apparently the creator of the family, so my theory is that Asa is Tsubomi's former husband, but it's quite possible that Asa's ultimate goal is to use Tsubomi as he wants Yozakura blood for whatever reason. To get rid of it, he said that it needed to be like trimmed or whatever in his monologue when he first appeared, but he likely wants Tsubomi. So now we have Tsubomi on the doorstep of the Yozakura mansion. Tsubomi's consciousness could be telling Taiyo like, hey, you need to kill me in this child form or else we're all doomed pretty much, which leads to a conflict where it's very possible that there'll be a division of opinion within the family where we have part of the family saying, yes, let's kill Tsubomi and get rid of her because that is the ultimate goal. We need to do it for the greater good. And then maybe another part of the family will be like, this is just a kid. We can't kill this child. We have to let her live. And a conflict between the family is bound to make the family weaker because a theme of this manga is togetherness. You can't fight alone. You need the support of others in order to be truly strong. So if the family isn't supporting each other, they're weaker. And that's probably what Asa wants. So my theory is Asa got a hold of this child Tsubomi. And what he could do is he could take Tsubomi's blood right away because, that's the power source he needs. But if he really wants all the Yozakura blood he can get, he'd also need the family's blood. And so instead of just claiming Tsubomi right away, what if Asa's line of thinking is, okay, let me divide the Yozakura family, let them have a fighting amongst themselves, make them weaker, so then I can come in and take not only Tsubomi, but the entire family too, which I think would be absolutely insane. So, again, to kind of summarize, what if Tsubomi's here on the doorstep because Asa or someone working with him left Tsubomi there as a seed, almost, a seed to grow destruction and division amongst the family, and that is Asa's goal. He wants to destroy the family from the inside so he can take all of their blood, which I think would be really cool and really intense. Not only like Asa's whole mastermind plan, if you thought that far, that really cements him as a strong, intelligent villain, which is worthy of a series about spies, obviously, but seeing the family have that conflict amongst themselves would also be really interesting, and there's a lot of directions that could go in. Like, if you have to think about it like, okay, so which members of the family would want to save Lil Tsubomi and which members of the family would want to kill her? And what I'm thinking is Taiyo is who I'm kind of on the fence about. I don't know if Taiyo would want to respect Tsubomi's wishes and kill her or save her because he sees like Mutsumi in Tsubomi and just wants to protect her. But I think it'd be really interesting if we have like this civil war arc of the with the Yozakura family, which you could think, well, that's awfully similar to the arc we just got out of where Shinzo and Futaba were possessed, but I think that's a little different. If we have the family genuinely have conflict amongst themselves where they want to fight each other, not to save the family and like bring them together like the goal of the last part, but they're intentionally going after each other in order to push their agendas of how they want to treat this situation with Tsubomi. I think Kinga would definitely be on or actually, man, I don't even know about Kingo too, because Kingo, because when Kyoichiro disappeared, we saw like Kingo and Shion are kind of who like there was a little dispute among the family about what to do about Kyoichiro, and Kingo and Shion are kind of who started that. Like Kingo was like, we should respect Kyoichiro's wishes and basically let Kyoichiro cook. And we had Shion who was like, no, screw Kyoichiro, he's crap, let's go save him. So we had that dispute amongst the family, and I think it's very possible we can see something similar where we have these family members with different personalities unable to get along and unite over this Tsubomi situation, and it'd be really interesting to see like this Yozakura family civil war arc. And maybe, you know what, let's go a step further. What if this is the series' chance to bring like the Zenitsu? Like, we have Keiko and Ban, but I know there are other members of the fandom who really want to see like the aunts and uncles of the family. So what if we not only get the siblings involved, but we get like a whole, like the entire extended family is called up, and we have this entire civil war amongst the entire extended Yozakura family. Like, it becomes this whole drama of what do we do about Tsubomi. So the family's divided, and then it's up to like Taiyo, I guess the outsider of the family, to kind of unite them together and be like, we can't be fighting, we have to unite in order to deal with this Asa problem. And again, there's like tons of directions that could go in. What if, while the Yozakura family's having this war amongst themselves, what if Asa strikes while they're still fighting? And what if Taiyo's not even like trying to save the family? What if he has his own side that he's on? And which Asa then shows up and he's like, haha, I now have the entire family. I now have the opportunity to collect the blood from every member of the family. I think that'd be really sick. We get world building with the extended family. I'm really proud of this theory of mine because there's so much potential in where it can go, where the twists and turns can go, and I'd be happy if I'm right, or I'd be happy if I'm wrong and like Gandaira does something totally different. And even if he does do something totally different, I'm sure it'll be interesting and just great. I trust Gandaira as an author, so even though this is my theory, sorry, ignore the background noise. That was my dog jumping off the couch. And that was my other dog, summoned by the noise. But anyways, so another thing. I keep mentioning, you're going to need to get back, Chevy. I want to mention the time skip. I mentioned it earlier, and I'm going to mention it again. We have Tsubomi as a child on the doorstep, and when you think about it, if Tsubomi's here, like, she's not an infant, she's just a young child, so obviously something happened to Tsubomi. What if Tsubomi is growing? She has to, like, she started out as like an infant, but she's growing at a quick rate. So in order for Tsubomi to do anything, she has to reach like peak maturity. So what if, okay, maybe they're not divided about killing Tsubomi now. What if they don't even think about it? But there's going to be a year time skip because right now we have Tsubomi as a child. But in order for them to really do anything with Tsubomi, she has to be like peak maturity. So the family could try to, like, I don't know, raise her into like not becoming evil. Okay, so now that I think about that, that kind of throws off my timeline for the theory, so let me readjust it. What if, now that Tsubomi's here, at first the family's all like, okay, what if we raise Tsubomi to be a not hell-bent on staying immortal? So, but she needs to become peak maturity in order for Asa's plan to come into fruition where he's using her blood. So that's when the time skip comes in. It'll take time for Tsubomi to reach peak maturity even at this quick growth rate. So it takes a year for Tsubomi to grow up, basically. So then we get our year time skip. Tayo and Mutsumi are 18 now, and Tsubomi is more mature, and that's when we get our conflict where the inner Tsubomi inside Tayo is like, hey, I'm basically cursed. My existence is cursed. No matter how I turn out, there will always be people out for me, and you guys just need to kill me. And that is when our conflict's introduced, where we have half the family divided over whether to save her or kill her. And this is kind of a reach what I'm about to say here, but I think when I read Mission Yozakura Family, there are a few series that come to mind that I believe that Mission Yozakura Family is inspired by. One of them, I believe, is Assassination Classroom. I get heavy Assassination Classroom vibes from Mission Yozakura Family. And if you've read or watched Assassination Classroom, there's an arc in that series where the class that is, their goal the entire series is to kill Koro Sensei, their teacher. But there is an arc in the series where the class is divided whether they want to kill Koro Sensei, who's their teacher, or save Koro Sensei. So if I'm right and Mission Yozakura Family really is inspired by Assassination Classroom, then the whole kill or save conflict I think would be a neat little homage to Yusei Matsui, the creator of Assassination Classroom. So just to run it back and summarize this whole theory I have, we end this chapter with child Tsubomi on the doorstep of the Yozakura mansion. Then we see the family all decide, okay, let's raise Tsubomi as someone who is good and not evil. Then we get a year time skip where Tayo and Mutsumi are now a year older. They're 18, which can lead to more, let's say, could open some doors in terms of their romance development. So we get that, and then after the time skip, then we see this conflict of inner Tsubomi telling Tayo's like, hey, I don't care, you guys need to kill this current me. So then we get this conflict where like the family, some of them are attached to this current Tsubomi and they want to save her, and some of them say we need to respect inner Tsubomi's wishes and kill her or whatever, just a conflict. This conflict amongst the siblings in turn brings out the whole extended family from the shadows. So we have this Yozakura Family Civil War arc where they're fighting amongst each other, and Asa, this has been Asa's plan the entire time. He put Tsubomi on their doorstep so he can divide the family, make them weaker, so he can come in and easily sweep the entire family and claim their blood, which he must need for his ultimate goal, whatever that may be. I think that'd be very interesting, and I would be excited if that theory ends up true. I'd be okay if that theory ends up true, as long as Gandaira does something that is still well written, and I'm sure he will. So this chapter is very exciting, not only for like, it was cute, it was wholesome, but it also opens up the doors for so much. And it's really neat when you see something happen in the series and you kind of start seeing where the puzzle comes together. And I know some people might be thinking, well, that's just predictability. No, it isn't. I think predictability is very different from theorizing, in a sense. Predictability is boring, where you're watching something, you're reading something, and you're like, yeah, I know where this is going. It's not interesting. But theories are born out of interesting concepts, and I believe what I've just shared with you guys today is an interesting concept. So if my prediction is right, I wouldn't call that predictability. I'd call that one, I'd be proud of myself for being able to come up with a story on the level of a professional mangaka. And two, I mean, it'd just be really cool to see. So I'm excited for the upcoming chapters. I believe, because right now with the manga, I believe it's on volume 19 at the moment. So I could totally see volume 19 with Tsubomi here. At first I was thinking how we'd have like slice of life for the rest of volume 19 and then start to see some story stuff that lead to the time skip in volume 20, and then volumes 21 on would be in the time skip. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think this volume that we're on, volume 19, will wrap up things with the current, I guess you could say, era of time. I don't know. That volume 19 will wrap up this time segment, and then volume 20 on will be in the time skip. And I think that'd be really cool. And I mean, again, I'm just really excited for this series. I love this series so much. It's so fun. I'm so happy to be making this podcast. And although I don't have a lot of viewership right now, hopefully we can get there as I continue being consistent with my uploads and making new episodes every week, even on weeks where the series is on break. But I'm really excited to be reading this series as a fan, to have been reading it since it came out, and to be talking about it and how much I love it to you guys, my listeners. So thank you for listening to today's episode. I'm recording this little sign off right now with the same time I've been recording me talking about this chapter, although I will be editing things and moving things around if there's some news that comes out with the series between now, which is Sunday, the day the chapter came out here in my time zone, between now and Tuesday when I have my upload scheduled. I schedule this podcast to release every week on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. EST, which is exactly 2 days after the chapter comes out. I figure that gives me time to kind of have like a flexible schedule. I figure at some point during 2 days I'd have the time to record a podcast episode. So that's my aim with that schedule. So, but again, thank you everyone for listening, and that'll be all for this week's episode of the weekly Yozakura podcast. I'm Scarred Hero, and until later.